Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'll be covering the topic of capture the flags, or CTF for short. Capture the flags are a great way of getting practical hacking experience legally by solving security challenges to find a flag, which is basically a string of characters used to prove that you solved a certain challenge. There are many different platforms to practice penetration testing, such as TryHackMe, which we'll be looking at today, as well as Hack the Box, Pentester Lab, and Offensive Security Playgrounds. Personally, I've only tried TryHackMe and Hack the Box, but you're free to check out the other ones as well. Hi everyone, welcome to another tutorial. In this video, I'll be demonstrating the TryHackMe platform, which is just a website where you can practice attacking virtual machines for offensive security, defensive security, including threat intelligence and digital forensics. So when you create a user account, you'll be greeted with this dashboard here, which has some statistics up the top here. Has a new section called No Rooms. A room is basically just a challenge that you can try and complete. And down the bottom we've got skills matrix. It will track the rooms and the skills that you've done already. And the level basically just accumulates points. Every time you answer a question or complete a room, you'll earn some points, and that'll add to your level here. So to get started, click on your profile here, go to Access, and here you can download a VPN to connect to the TryHackMe network. If you're running your own virtual machine like Kali, then this is how you'd connect to that machine. To download this, you've got to subscribe, and it is like $10 a month to utilize these VPN servers. So these are the VPN servers. The VIPs are the fastest ones, and then you just go download my configuration file here, download that, and I've already downloaded that here, so I won't have to do it again. Now we're going to click on Learn. Under Learn, they also have some learning pathways, such as Introduction to Cybersecurity, Junior Penetration Tester, Pre-Security, Cyber Defense, Complete Beginner Course, Offensive Penetration Testing, and Web Fundamentals. But the one we're going to be doing today is a virtual machine called Kenobi. So this is the Kenobi room here. As you can see, I've already completed it. I'll just be doing a walkthrough for it. So to start the machine, just click Start here, and that'll take a minute for these services to come up. And I'll just show you how to open up this VPN server. So just go sudo open VPN, and the configuration file, which is your username .ovpn. So that looks like it's connected to the network. And while we wait here, if we scroll down to here, it has a breakdown of tasks. It wants us to complete to essentially complete this machine here. And we can read a description of it here. This room will cover accessing Samba shares, manipulating a variable version of ProFTPD to gain initial access to the server, and escalate your privileges to root via a SUID binary. So the first question is scan the machine with Nmap to get a list of open ports, and it's asking us how many ports we found on the server. I've already answered this, so this is 7, but I'll just show you again just so you can see how it works. It looks like the IP addresses here. If you're doing this, it'll be different for you, but you can just copy to clipboard and paste it when you need it. So to initiate a port scan, just do nmap, copy and paste the IP address, -S capital V capital T 4. SV is for to get the service version of the ports, and -T4 increases the speed, and do -V for verbosity. This will just scan the top 1000 ports and it will tell us what it's found. Going to the file scan, it's found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ports, which was the correct number I was looking for. Now we've just got to wait for the scan to finish. So it looks like we've got port 21 running FTP service, and the version is Pro FTPD 1.3.5. It's running SSH version 7.2 P2. It's running port 80, running an Apache 2 web server. It's running port 111 RPC bind. It's running SMB on port 139 and 445, as you can see here, between version 3 and 4. It's running port to 2049, which is running a network file share service as well. So let's go back to the browser and see what it wants us to do next. And this section is marked Samba, so it looks like we're doing SMB enumeration and looking at shares. And it's got a nmap script here which we can copy and paste if we want to, and change the IP address on the end to enumerate the shares on the service. But I'll be using a tool called SMB map, just because it's has a few extra tools, and it's just a tool that I like to use. So I'll just minimize that and open up another terminal and go SMB map -H, copy paste the IP address in, and run the tool. Looks like we've got 3 shares on the SMB service. We've got print, we've got anonymous, and we've got RPC, and it's listed our permissions. The first and third have no access, while the anonymous share has read only. So we should be able to read the files on the shares based on that information that it has given us. So to list the files on the shares, go -R. So it looks like it's only got one file there called log.txt. So the next step is to download that and see what's in it. So to do that, we essentially want to do --download, and then do anonymous. /log.txt, which is the name of the file appended to the anonymous share. And it looks like it's been saved to our machine here. Now we've got anonymous_log.txt, so let's open that. And up here we see generating public and private RSA key pair. Looks like the private key is stored on the home directory Kenobi.ssh IDRSA. So based on that, it looks like we could be looking to compromise or download that private key to access the SSH service. And based on this directory, we can assume that Kenobi is the user we're going to be dealing with as well. So let's see what other information we can see here. Looks like this is a pro FTPD FTP configuration file, and it looks like we can see there is a user and a group named Kenobi, so that's more likely the user we're going to be using. And just scrolling down here, we're just going to use the path here and just more information about the FTP service, but that's pretty much all the information we need on that one. So if you scroll down, it's asking us how many shares were found on the machine, which is 3. The example they've given is using a tool called SMB Client and one called SMB Get. Now, I obviously did this example here with SMB Map, just because I don't like using multiple tools. It's asking us for the file that we found, which is log.txt. And it's also asking us what port is FTP running on, which is 21. And now it's asking us to enumerate the network file share. And the command it's using is another mmap script. But I'll be using a tool called showmount, or just mount really. So to list the file sharing directories, enter showmount -e followed by the IP address. And as you can see, we've got a folder named var. So looks like it's sharing the folder on the server named var. So that's good to know. And let's move to the next section. This section is labelled pro FTPD, which is just referring to that FTP service. What version are we running? That's 1.3.5, which we got from that mmap scan originally. In this section, it's asking us to use a tool called searchploit to find available exploits for that pro FTP server. So to do that, we can just enter search exploit, then followed by pro FTP. And you can see down here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 exploits for version 1.3.5. So obviously 4 is the right one. And down here you should have found an exploit for pro FTP utilizing the mod copy module. So we'll just take a look at that documentation there as well. Looks like the mod copy module implements the site copy from and the site copy to commands, which can be used to copy files / directories from one place to another on the same server. Any unauthenticated client can leverage these commands to copy the files from any part of the file system to a chosen destination. So let's take a look at this documentation. So the commands we're going to be using are site copy from and site copy to. So you basically do site copy from the source path, and then site copy to where you want to copy the files to. So that's the exploit we need to have a look at. So to find this, just go to File System, User, Share, Exploit DB, Exploits, Linux, Remote, and type in 49908. Open up this Python script. And looks like it's taking some import called target. It's connecting to the FTP server on port 21, and it's using those commands: site copy from the etc password file. It's doing something with PHP info, and it's trying to upload a PHP file called test to the web server. Now this exploit is in Metasploit, and it's also in exploit DB. If we tried to run the Metasploit module or this exploit, they're essentially both going to fail. And that's because we don't have write access on the web server. When it gets to this command, it'll try to upload it and fail because it doesn't have write permissions in the var www.html web directory. So we're going to have to exploit this manually to copy the private key. So let's take a look at actually before we do that, I'll just run this exploit so you can see what it's doing. Just open up this exploit, scroll down, and it looks like it's got a variable called target, and it's using a library called sysargv, which is used to take in arguments. So the IP address will be going here, and then it'll be connected to the FTP service and running these commands. So to execute it, just go python 3 49908.py, and then space, copy the IP address of the machine. And as you can see, permission denied, and it's given us a message: the directory might not be writable. And as I said, that failed because we don't have write permissions on the web server, so we can't actually use that. So going back to the browser, it's got a snippet here of they're running a netcat command connecting to the server on port 21, and they're basically just copying that private key from the home folder to the network share located on var temp and copying the private key there. So let's have a go at doing that. So do NC followed by the IP address, and then the port, which is 21. And now we'll just have to enter those commands. So that's site cpfr, all in caps, and then do the path home /Kenobi .ssh /id _RSA. This file exists, so I believe that's copied. So to move the file, we just do site cpto, then do var temp id _RSA, and as you can see, copy successful, so that key has been copied to the network chair. And it looks like this next section is getting us to create a new directory in mount Kenobi NFS, mount the target machine, the target network share to our computer, and hopefully we should have a private key in the temp directory when we do that. So what we'll do, we'll create that directory now, so we can do sudo mkdir /mnt and then Kenobi NFS. You can name the folder whatever you want, and you can locate it wherever you want. I'm just following the guidelines for the tutorial. So that's going to file system mnt Kenobi NFS, and as you can see, the folder's been created, but there's nothing there. So now we'll need to mount the target machine. We can use that using the mount commands. Copy paste the IP address in, do a colon, and followed by the network share, which we know as /var. And we also need to enter the place where we want to mount the drive to, which is mnt /Kenobi NFS, and I'll need to add a sudo. Right, that looks like it's been done. Open Kenobi NFS. Navigate to temp. And we've got the private key here called ID _RSA. So what we want to do, we want to copy it to our downloads folder, and what we need to do is we need to change the permissions of the key to 600, which basically means that only we can open the SSH key. It's pretty much just how the keys like to be used. Anything else and you won't be able to use it. So just enter chmod 600 and the name of the key, which is ID _RSA. So that's been done. So now let's try and log on to the server with the user Kenobi. To do this, we can do SSH -I ID_RSA, which is the private key, followed by the user Kenobi at the IP. I'll need to copy and paste the IP address again. IP address of the machine, and hit enter. Just put yes to the fingerprint, and as you can see, we've got access to the server through this Kenobi user here. So let's list the files on the server. It looks like we've got a file called user.txt. Let's just open it using the cat command. User.txt, and as you can see, we've got a long string of numbers here, which is basically just the flag that we're after. So you can just basically copy and paste the flag into this box here, and you should be able to pass through that section as well. And let's load up the final task, number 4, and see what it wants us to do with that one. Okay, in this section is to do with the privilege escalation. We essentially need to escalate privileges from the standard user Kenobi to basically root, and it's just demonstrating our file permissions here, read and write, and it's mentioning sticky bits here. So looks like we'll be dealing with SUID binaries, and I think sticky bits allow other files and programs to run as elevated users. So if you have a binary that's running as root, if you can run that binary, then you as a shell, then you can get root access from that binary. So down here, SUID bits can be dangerous. Some binaries, such as password, need to be run with elevated privileges, as it's resetting passwords on the system. However, other custom files that could have SUID bits can lead to all sorts of issues. To search the system for these types of files, run the following command. So we're just going to copy that command here, copy and paste it, and see what it does. So it's returned a list of binaries that have the sticky bits set on the binary, and we've got some files here called mount, password, group password, menu sudo, chsh, stuff like that. So when dealing with CTFs and privilege escalation stuff, it's usually the weird thing on the system. So the thing that sticks out here to me is this menu binary here. It's not something that you would usually see. It's usually pretty custom, but also it also tells you this in the instructions. So it'll ask you what particularly sticks out from the ordinary, which is the menu binary here, and So we're just going to run this binary. So to do that, just go /user bin and menu. So we've got some options here called status check, kernel version, and if config. And going back to here, it will ask you for how many options up here, which is 3. And we're just going to run the status check. Looks like it's doing a HTTP request to the web server. Looks like the second one lists the kernel version, and the third one uses the built-in tool if config to map the local network. So let's just go back to the browser, and it wants us to run a strings command on Linux to get a list of human readable strings on that's inside the binary. So let's just do that. And we just need to do strings followed by the binary that we want to use it on. So these are all the available strings it was able to find in the binary. So if we scroll down here, we've got it's got a curl command, which is doing a HTTP request to the local web server, which we saw when we ran status check. And the second command is uname -r, getting a list of the kernel version. And number 3 is if config, getting the IP address for the local machine. So going back here, it's telling us that this shows us that the binary is running without a full path, e.g. user bin curl or user bin uname. So what essentially that means is it's running these programs without a complete path. So it's just calling the programs in the terminal and then running them. And it's doing the same for 3 of them. And also this binary runs with root privileges. So if we manipulate the path, we can actually gain a root shell with that. So according to this section here, it's copying a sh shell from the path from the bin directory and putting into a file in the temp directory called curl. It's changing the permissions to executable for the curl program, which is basically just the sh bash shell here. The next one is exporting the path to the temp directory, and then we're going to be running the menu binary here, and that should get us a root shell in the end. Clear that out. So I'm just going to navigate to the temp folder. And then we're going to do echo bin sh greater than curl. So this pretty much puts the sh program into this new file called curl. And next we want to change the permissions to executable. So that's done. and then we want to export our new paths. Export path in capitals slash tmp :/ and $ path variable, I think that is. Yep. Enter, and the last thing we need to do is run that first binary that we used, which is located in user, bin, and menu. Now hopefully if we enter 1, we should be able to get that root shell here, and that's essentially because it's running the commands curl, which is basically just a sh shell, and that should drop right into it'll escalate our privileges to root, and that's because the menu binary is running as root, so we should be able to get those permissions. As you can see, we've got a hash here which indicates we are root, so I'll just enter a command called who am I, and we can see we are root. And now we'll just navigate to the root directory, do an ls, cut out that root.txt, and just copy that flag here, and this is the final flag for the machine. So yeah, that's pretty much done, and yeah, for this machine we were able to exploit an SMB service, an FTP service, and a SSH service to get initial access on the machine under the user Kenobi, and then we were able to manipulate the variable path of a SURD binary to get root access to this machine and solve it, getting this root directory flag here. And once you've answered all the questions and put in those flags, you should get 100% on this machine, and yeah, you should be able to solve it. And so yeah, I believe that's the end of this video. If you have any questions, leave a comment, and thanks for watching.